He is friends with Donald Trump, but he criticises him all the time, and fairly so, because that's his job. They're two separate things. His personal life, he's very fair. He's pretty open and honest about his opinions, and he changes his opinions, which, my God, is such a blessing, because nowadays everyone's afraid to change their opinion when the new facts come along. And Piers is doing old school journalism in a brand new landscape. And people are crying out for content they can really trust. So I'm sure when he sits down to do an interview, he has a framework, but he listens very, very closely, and he's not afraid to go off on a tangent. He's one of the few remaining journalists out there that are doing a really good job of being as fair and balanced as you possibly.
Hi everyone!
Hi guys! Hope everyone had a lovely Christmas. We're still in the armpit of Christmas, as I call it. The few days between Stevens's Day, or Boxing Day as they call it in the UK, and New Year's Eve, which is about 3 weeks long, but it's only a week, but it feels like about 3 weeks.
Yes.
But it's very nice, and it's nice to relax after a long year of hard work, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk today about Piers Morgan.
My man crush.
Hi Piers.
Hi Piers, if you're watching. Love the show.
Okay, we want to talk about Piers Morgan, why he's so popular. I prepared some questions, and I would like to I would like to know, what do you think about Piers Morgan? Why do you think he's so popular at the moment? Okay.
Well, just a bit of background, I guess, is that I studied journalism when I left school, which was around 1998, 1999. And loved it. It's been my passion ever since, and I've worked in TV and radio and a bit of print as well. So I've got a fair idea of what goes into being a good journalist, I think. I don't always meet the bar myself, but I do try my best, as I think every single one does. And working in TV especially, you tend to find people to watch and to carefully study that you think are really, really good and have all the qualities of a fine broadcaster. And there is really nobody more brilliant at it, at the entire medium, as Piers Morgan. He's done it all. He's done print, radio, TV, and now he's massive on YouTube. I read somewhere about a month ago that his channel, Piers Morgan Uncensored, is worth £100 million already, and he's expanding it with the new shows. Piers Morgan Uncensored obviously is the flagship, and now he's doing History Uncensored, I believe. So an exciting time for Piers Morgan. But what a career he's had. And the reason he's still going, and the reason he's still on everybody's screens every single night, is because people trust him. And it's as simple as that. And he gets a lot of negativity online, which I'm sure we'll discuss. But also a lot of positivity too, because he's bloody good at his job. And still 20 odd years on from when I studied journalism, he's one of the few remaining journalists out there that are doing a really good job of being as fair and balanced as you possibly can. So I'm thrilled to talk about Piers. He's a hero.
He's everywhere. So because I'm more like you, he watches more YouTube, and I'm more like a TikTok person.
Yeah. Well, I only got into YouTube sort of recently because to me it was the wild, wild west of news. It was hard to find what to believe. Very opinionated, very siloed. Your algorithm kind of told you what you were thinking, responded to your searches, so you weren't being told uncomfortable truths. But that's changed now. It's certainly transformed in the last 2 or 3 years. It's a great way of getting your product to the person without all the politics and nonsense of a network behind you or a channel. I've worked for all channels, and I can tell you that there's an awful lot of interference, because it's just the nature. It's not that it's a bad thing, it's just the nature of the business. Whereas in YouTube, there are pros and cons. It's not always good to say whatever the hell you like all the time on YouTube. I'm sure we'll get to that as well. But it really is the place to go now for real unfettered opinion and analysis. And I think Piers is leading the charge, to be honest with you. I really do.
He's everywhere on TikTok. His clips, he's everywhere.
That's the world we live in. It's the world we live in now. Even network television is viral on TikTok and Instagram and that. But if you can establish a business and a trusted channel on YouTube, I think you're off to the races. And I think Piers has done that. He has done that. I don't think it's a fact.
Okay, let's ask the first question. Why do you think this show is so popular right now? When did you first start seeing this show everywhere? Was it one interview? Was it just viral moment? Was it just clip you saw on social
Yeah,
media?
well, I've always followed Pierce, as I said from earlier on, ever since I was in college. There was certain journalists that I looked up to and I would follow as closely as possible. Of course, back then he was working in CNN, so I would watch it on CNN. And then he had his Piers Morgan interviews, specials on ITV, and I always watched them because I was always a little bit more drawn to that kind of journalism in the sense that I love talking to people, I love asking questions, and there's a really there's a really complicated process that goes into pulling off a good interview. And I learned a lot from watching Pierce and his sit down interviews with celebrities and interesting people because he would sit down and he would create a warmth between the guest and the interviewer. In old school as well, because there was great interviewers that down through the years that used to do that. In Ireland, Gay Byrne was one of them. Gay Byrne was probably the best broadcaster we ever had, even to this day. He hosted the Late Late Show and RT1 for something like 30 years or whatever it was. And the key to Gay's interview style was actually just relax. He was very relaxed and he would let people talk, and he would respond to whatever was coming out of their mouths as opposed to sticking to a list of questions. And I notice Pierce does that all the time. He goes off piste, as you'd say. He listens to the person more often than not in modern television and modern broadcast now. It's just get to your points, get to your questions. And the interviewee would say something really, really interesting, and the person doing the interview would just move on to the next question, and it leaves the viewer or the listener going, oh, hang on a second, that was really, really interesting. So Pierce is brilliant at listening to the person. I'm sure, I've never met him, I'd love to someday. I'm sure when he sits down to do an interview, he has a framework, but he listens very, very closely, and he's not afraid to go off on a tangent. So I found him on YouTube because I started watching his show Uncensored when it started on Talk TV, and I'd watch it every night that it was on, and I loved it, and it was great to have him every night because I didn't get to see Good Morning Britain because I don't like getting up that early. But I'd often watch clips and that. So, but when it moved to YouTube exclusively, we're off to the races. It's so handy. You can watch it whenever you like. You can watch it if you're on holidays. You can watch it on your phone. You can really tune in whenever, and it's pretty much 99.9% of the time unmissable content.
Okay. Why do you think it works? How he's different from the other shows? Why he's so successful?
The reason I think it's working so well, from my opinion at least, is that Pierce is doing old school journalism in a brand new landscape, and people are crying out for content they can really trust. So, for example, if you go to, say, a podcast that's left leaning or right leaning, it's more often than not a host that agrees with the interviewee, and they're sort of just talking to each other in their own little bubble. Whereas Pierce will, test theories, he'll test opinions, and he will hold their feet to the fire. He's very fair. He's pretty open and honest about his opinions, and he changes his opinions, which, my God, is such a blessing, because nowadays everyone's afraid to change their opinion when the new facts come along, and he's not afraid to do that because that's old school journalism. And I think he's sort of representative of the skill of journalism in a brand new content driven world, and that's why he stands out. And people may notice that, but even if they don't notice it, they do subconsciously. They know that they can go to his show and get both sides of the argument, and with a fair arbiter sitting in the middle of it. And that's gold in today's economy, especially in an attention-driven economy where people are just spouting off all sorts of nonsense because it gets clicks. I don't think Piers Morgan particularly has to worry about clicks. I'm sure he does because it is a business and all that. But his name recognition alone drives the business, so he can really just do his job, which is a master broadcaster.
Okay.
That's why it's so successful, I think.
Do you think people care more about strong reaction than being convinced?
Yeah, I do actually nowadays. I think people look, a lot of people like to watch an argument. It's like, that whole car crash thing when you're driving by, rubbernecking. People love to watch a little bit of that, a bit of drama. But when it comes to the core issues, I think a lot of people are just waiting for the other person to stop talking so that they can start talking. I don't think they're actually listening to each other. I think on Piers Morgan Uncensored, he encourages people to listen to each other. This is not rocket science, do you know what I mean? I think the team at Piers Morgan Uncensored understands it. This is basic, simple journalism. And the reason it stands out, like I said previously, is because in a landscape of just noise and attention, uh, Pierce is just doing his job. But he's doing it in a fresh new format, in a fresh new way. And I have to say, I think his producers are probably the best producers on earth, because the way they piece those shows together and they get the right guests at the right times and they pace it just right, between him being so experienced and top of his game and the producers. I'm sure they're absolutely brilliant. I haven't met them, you never see them on screen, but believe me, from my years of working in television and radio, the producers are the engine that drives the whole thing.
Do you think shows that create big reaction always wins online?
Yeah, it does, because like back to the whole thing, the attention economy. And we know this from algorithms that the more likes and the more views it gets, the more it's pushed on people, which is which is a business decision on behalf of these platforms, which is fine. It is what it is. We're all living in it and we're used to it. But there's no doubt about it. The loudest, what was it my mother used to say, is the squeaky wheel gets oil the quickest. You know, right? It's true though. Yeah.
Okay. When you watch the show now, do you feel like you know what's coming next? Just because his style is very familiar, do you
Yeah.
have time where you say you should have said that? No, that's not. This is the fact.
Well, far be it from me to correct the mighty Piers Morgan. Am I used to the format? Do I know what's coming next? Not particularly, no, and I'm not sure he does either, because he leaves it so open and he's so good at his job. Anyone can say anything and take the interview in a completely different direction. I can give a million examples. I mean, his most recent massive interview with Nick Fuentes, podcaster from the US, controversial podcaster. Controversial as well because the sense that Tucker Carlson interviewed him and it came under a lot of criticism for how he handled the interview. More sort of, he wasn't confronted enough. I think most people would agree with that. I certainly think that. And then Pierce decided to have Nick Fuentes on, which I thought was the right decision personally, because someone has to hold his feet to the flames, like everybody. You know, if you're going to platform yourself, even us, anyone who gets in front of a camera and goes on to a platform and starts talking to loads of people, they have a responsibility to at least get things right. And if they don't know what they're talking about, highlight the fact that they don't actually know what they're talking about. You have to be an honest arbiter, and Pierce is that. So he brought on Nick Fuentes, and he handled the interview like Piers Morgan would handle that interview. Fair, but harsh. Hard on him, but also fair. And it's the right way to do it. So I was surprised when he had him on. I was hoping he would, and he sort of never disappoints in a way, because I was just surprised that they pulled the trigger on it so quickly, and he did it, and it got millions of views, which I'm not surprised about. But he handled it brilliantly. So in the sense of, do I know what's coming next? No, and I'm not sure Pierce does either. That's what makes him such a great broadcaster, because he allows people to speak, and the interview can go whichever way it's going to go.
Okay. Once a show become that popular, do you think it can ever slow down? Do you think Piers Morgan is gonna slow down?
Well, everything has a shelf life, you know. Everything does. I mean, you think everything's going to last forever, and it's going to run on forever. Back actually to the Late Late Show that I was talking about earlier on, that Gay Byrne hosted. It's had 4 hosts now, and it's declining in ratings. So TV is dying. There's no doubt about it. Even shows that have been on for 40 or 50 years are getting less and less year on year. So that's an institution that's dying out. We're in the kind of early days of social media and YouTube and platforms like that. But I mean, I don't see any end in sight within our lifetimes, and I think Pierce is going to have a very, very good career on YouTube. Very good. And he deserves it, because he's worked hard his whole life and he's been at the top of his game the whole time. And he was able to adapt to a brand new platform. Not surprised he could, but he's done it. So will the show go on for another 20, 30 years? Absolutely. I think as long as Pierce is around, there'll be a Piers Morgan Uncensored.
Um, is this show successful because of the host or because what the internet rewards?
Well, the host brings name recognition and skill, and the show is built around, certainly Piers Morgan Uncensored is built around Piers Morgan. The producers, like I said earlier on, deserve a ton of credit, because they will guide the show in terms of content and in terms of formatting, and they're doing a great job so far. No, it's just the right show at the right time, with the right team and the right host. It's as simple as that. Um, it's sometimes you just make magic on television, and that is magic.
What makes Piers Morgan stand out of other podcaster and YouTubers?
Oh well, like I said earlier on, he's old school journalist. You know, he wants to get to the truth, and that's where he wants to get to, and he's not afraid to be wrong along the way, and he'll correct himself when new facts are presented to him. He does it all the time. I mean, he's been, I think, throughout the entire Israel-Gaza conflict, has been the best broadcaster in the world, bar none. Because he's been a fair arbiter, and he's had guests on from both sides of the divide argument, whatever you want to call it, and he's stood up for journalism, and he's corrected his stance along the way as the news changed. He changed with it. He wasn't siloed and stuck in, sort of mired in the mud of his own brain. He's open to changing his mind, which I don't see in a lot of other places on YouTube. I just see people sticking to their guns. They are very clever about how they will pick their strategy, and they'll stay there, and they'll do it for uh, clicks and outrage. There are many, many, many names. I'm sure you're thinking of them at home right now as I'm speaking. Pierce doesn't do any of that. He just doesn't do that. The content stands on its own. The message stands on its own. This is fair-minded news, opinion pieces. But he also has a lot of fun. I mean, he's hilarious. I mean, you just see him.
He's very funny.
He's hilarious. He just sits back sometimes and lets two people go at it, and he's just like, "What? I mean, what am I going to do here?" And then he gets a bit annoyed after a while, but he knows how to turn it up and turn it down, because that's from many, many years of experience in broadcasting.
I was laughing an hour for this. Why you're gay? Why you're gay?
Oh, that was funny. Yeah,
that was very funny.
He had the broadcaster from that very huge viral clip on, and there's an example of having some fun with something serious, and with a light touch on it that only he can do, completely inoffensive and just fun to everybody. And he does that. And see, that's the beauty of the show, is that, like, on a Monday you'll have a war being covered, and then on a Tuesday you'll have U.S. politics and President Trump and all sorts of things, and then on Wednesday you'll have a bit of fun. It's such a great mix of content. It is brilliant, brilliant television. And of course, his friendship with President Donald Trump is famous, but it doesn't stop him being a fair arbiter. It doesn't stop him criticizing the president.
I was going to ask you just that, because do you think he's so successful because he's fair? But as for some people, they don't think he's fair.
Well, look,
just because of this friendship.
Yeah, look, you're always going to have. Look, you're going to have things like that. I think a lot of people don't understand that. If you're a journalist, you can separate. You have to be able to separate your personal opinions and life from whatever it is that you're covering. And it's hard to describe to people, because people don't think you can do that. Of course you can do that. I've worked in many, many institutions over the years, and I've worked with people who can't do that. And I wonder why they're, in this job at all. I I long for the days of opening up a newspaper or turning on television where it's not opinion, opinion, opinion. I want the news, and I want really good research and really good old school journalism. It still exists. I mean, it is out there, but you got to pay a premium for it, and you got to go looking for it. If you were just to be sort of walking through the world, just picking up things here and there, I don't know how people get their information nowadays. God knows, it scares me. But there were great journalists back in the day that would cover the Middle East, and they would cover Russia, and they would cover the United States, completely non-partisan. You wouldn't know, you shouldn't know the politics of a journalist. So I long for those days. But Pierce is great at that. I mean, the prime example is that he is friends with Donald Trump, but he criticizes him all the time, and fairly so, because that's his job. They're two separate things. His personal life is his personal life, but when he's hosting a program, he understands that he has a responsibility to his viewers and listeners to get the facts straight. And if somebody asks his opinion, he's not afraid to give it.
Yeah.
And I've never once seen Piers Morgan where I've thought he was telling, a fib. Yeah, he'll answer the question. He'll be completely honest. Which is also something. Sorry, I just cut across you. I learned this years ago off an amazing television producer who's no longer with us, but he had an extensive knowledge of really how to do really, really good TV. And he always said to me that the camera is an X-ray machine. Uh, People may not even know, but they know when you're lying. They're not sure why, but they have a feeling you're lying. And you can also feel when someone's telling you the truth. He said that the camera is an X-ray machine. You can see right through people, and I still prescribe to that. And I still think it's true. And I think when I'm watching Pierce, I know he's honest. I don't always agree with him. I forgive him most of the time. I'm like, okay, well, there's somebody with a bit of sense in the world. Sometimes he goes off piece, and I'm like, I don't know about that, but that's the beauty of it. That's the whole point. It'd be weird if we all agreed all the time, and I say that all the time in these videos. It's okay to disagree.
Yeah.
Respectfully. It's fine. It's okay. Once nobody's doing any harm in the world, it's okay to disagree.
Okay. What about people that they don't like him?
Well, they're entitled.
They still watch, some of them, they still watch him.
I think he loves them. I think he would want it no other way. He gets a kick out of that. He likes getting in the ring and having a good debate and a good chat about things and hashing out the truth or trying to hash out the truth. So I think he welcomes that. He loves all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's sort of pantomime in a way, but that's really how you get to the truth is that kind of friction. So he gets that and he doesn't care. I mean, look, he's laughing in his mansion. Oh no, somebody doesn't like me. Many people do like you, so it's fine.
Okay, you want to tell something else?
Well, Pierce, if you're hiring, always open to a little bit of work. No problem. Anything you got going, I'll take it. I'll move to the UK and I'll bring Susie with me. I bloody would.
Well, but maybe we can make Piers Morgan move to Bulgaria.
Okay. I don't know, Pierce. You can make up your own mind on that one. No, I'll move to the UK and I'll work for you. Susie can come.
I can come. I can support you.
Yeah, it should be support. Great support.
Yes. Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for watching.
Yeah, it was fun. It was nice to talk about Piers Morgan.
Yes.
A friend of mine suggested it. They were like, look, talk about the state of news and things on YouTube. And I was like, well, I watch a lot of Piers Morgan. He was like, we're talking about Piers Morgan. I was like, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
So that's what we did. And we hope you enjoyed it. And like all our videos, they're all available on our channel. So give us a like and a little follow. And we just sit here and we talk about stuff. It's not really, it's not rocket science.
Yes.
It's just a couple from Ireland
Chatting.
and Bulgaria chatting about things, and we're so glad that many of you have joined us already, and long may it continue. So like and follow for more.
If you want us to chat about something, let us know in the comments.
Let us know in the comments. We'll talk about anything. And like I said, if we don't know what we're talking about, we will let you know we don't know what we're talking about. And if we don't see you this side of 2026, very Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.